Hey, what's going on, family? Michael Cabradilla right here in San Diego, California. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have been reading through this book right here, The 100 Simple Secrets of Happy People, and we are on chapter number 53. So what we've been doing is we've been reading through every single chapter. The chapters are typically less than 2 pages, sometimes even 1 page. So it's a really simple read. But what we've been doing is posing questions and starting a dialogue. We would love for you to participate in the dialogue. Feel free to put a comment or whatever your thoughts are in the comment section. But it says right here what scientists have learned and how you can use it. Why not learn from happy people, right? All right, so chapter 53. I read the title of this one. I typically don't read the chapter before the video, so we'll see. But this title is kind of interesting. Number 53. Don't pretend to ignore things your loved ones do that bother you. In the name of being agreeable, some people try to avoid areas that might cause dissension. But with loved ones, this strategy sometimes makes us uncomfortable. We can feel unappreciated because we have made a sacrifice, but nobody thanks us for it. Sometimes we feel angry because this problem doesn't go away. Raise the subject of your disagreement, but do so lovingly and constructively, not with anger or aggression. Mary is a hairdresser. Her sister Kim is a banker. Normally, this is of little importance to Mary, but Mary's mother introduces her daughters to friends this way. Mary's a hairdresser. Her sister's a banker, though. And inside, it actually burns Mary every time. Why does her mother have to focus on her daughter's occupations and then say it in a way that makes it sound like she's disappointed in Mary's work? So let me say it again. Here's my daughter, Mary. She's a hairdresser, but her sister's a banker, though. Imagine, man, how often does that happen, right? Inevitably, when Mary visits her mother complains that Mary is unfriendly or too down. She never considers that it is her own comments that put Mary in that state. Mary finally explained how her mother's words felt to her. And her mother said she had no idea. She was proud of both of her daughters, and she didn't intend to make it seem that her daughters' occupations were what mattered to her. In relationships, those who feel they can freely communicate their concerns and needs to their partner are 40% more likely to feel satisfied than those who do not. Wow. All right. So when I read the title, so the title is Don't Pretend to Ignore Things Your Loved Ones Do That Bother You. I didn't think that it was going to be about this specifically, but when it boils down to things in regards to relationships, whether it's a relationship with a spouse or even a relationship with a child or a family member, a friend even, communication really is huge. And especially with things that don't, bide well with you. Those things can fester over a period of time. And eventually, sometimes we forget why our relationship or our view of somebody else is strained. And if we continue to just keep it, under wraps, or we don't say anything, about it, or we just continue to keep it inside, it's like, one of those things like where we always talk about, if you keep things inside and continue to keep those things inside, eventually those things can blow up, and you don't want those things to blow up, right? I know that in my relationship with my wife, if there is something that festers, we've had situations in the past. We've been married for over 10 years, of course. We got into situations where we've held something inside, and maybe we didn't like the way somebody did something, and we didn't say anything, and it just blows up like into an argument like later on. As recently as even just this past week, there was, and this is actually what I wanted to share, thinking about this now. There's two things. Number one, my wife and I saw something or there was something that happened that we just disagreed about. And I was adamant about, my point of view. She was adamant about her point of view. She had certain circumstances that were going on in her life right that very moment. And there were circumstances that I was going through right that very moment. And our children saw us argue, and it wasn't a constructive argument. It wasn't, too crazy. It was a very simple argument, or at least from their vantage point, it was more than a simple argument. But I remember years ago learning or hearing someone say that as parents, when you get into an argument and it's in front of your kids, resolve the situation in front of your kids also, so your kids can see that, yes, there will be or potentially could be conflict when you love someone and in a loving relationship, but you want to teach them and show them the resolution as well. And I know this is kind of off topic in regards to what we just read, but it was one of the things that it made me think of, because our kids are watching everything. So the way that our kids will learn this lesson of not keeping things inside can also come from the parents, to make sure that they know, like, hey, this is something that kind of makes me feel a little bit off. So they see the constructive conversation, and then they see the resolution, and then they see the other partner or they see the other loved one making attempts to actually, I don't want to say abide, but at least acknowledge the situation and hopefully make it better for the two. And the reason why I bring this up is because after we had that little, argument, or I'll just call it an argument, I was putting my children to bed, or, I was in the process of helping them to go to bed. And don't judge us, but they ate ice cream right before bed, and they were sitting there eating ice cream, and our youngest started tearing up. And she said, I said, why are you tearing? What's going on? She said, you and mommy were arguing. And I just asked her, I said, have you and your sister ever argued before? And she said, yes. Are you guys still best friends? And she said, yes. And I said, just like with mommy and daddy, there may be arguments, but we're still best friends. We're still, in love with each other. We still care about each other. But loved ones have to sometimes have those hard conversations, whether it's a simple situation or whether it's something that's larger. That's all part of that communication, right? I was gifted a book and started reading the book. I didn't finish it. It's called A Sacred Marriage. And it was given to us when we first got married. And the premise behind the book is, what if God did not mean for marriage to be simple and easy, but what if God meant marriage, or at least the relationship, to be one of the most challenging things that you've gone through, and the biggest teachers, so that as you're going through marriage, you can only turn to God to get you through, the challenges, or the, developing the relationship with each other. It's actually a really interesting concept. But anyways, this is typically a longer video than I typically do. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Chapter 53. Next will be chapter 54. But what are your thoughts? What are your comments? What does this make you think of? If there's anything it has made you think of, feel free to share in the comments. Appreciate you listening. Take care. God bless you.